The Last of Us Part 1 is finally here, and in the months leading up to the release, the main discussion has been around the highly controversial price tag of $70. Plenty of people were quick to brandish this as a blatant Naughty Dog cash grab and describe the game as a remaster of a remaster. So now we're finally here, how much of this is actually true? In today's video, I'm going to be diving into The Last of Us Remake and letting you guys know whether or not the hefty price tag is warranted, and if the game itself is warranted. So let's get into it. So starting off, the story. We all know the plot of The Last of Us by now, so there's no need to go over it again here in detail. There hasn't really been any major changes to any of the plot or any major retcons. The only thing people have highlighted is the addition of Jerry at the climax of the game at the Firefly Lab. This is of course to keep in line with the plot from Part 2, as Jerry proves to be a pivotal piece to the story, as his death is the catalyst for Joel's unfortunate fate. Other than that, it's still the same classic story we all know and love. Moving on to the visuals. We all knew coming into this that the graphics were going to set the standard for next-gen gaming, and we weren't disappointed. The Last of Us Part 1 is nothing less than stunning. For its time, the original Last of Us game was a great visual achievement. However, this takes things to a whole new level. The character models are incredibly realistic and filled with minute details that Naughty Dog could only dream of achieving back in 2013. Some of the landscapes are simply breathtaking and will have you opening up photo mode every few minutes. I'm not gonna lie, my first playthrough has taken me twice as long as it should have for this reason alone. But people have still found a way to belittle and talk down these amazing new visuals, of course, claiming that this is just another graphics upgrade for a 10-year-old game. But as I'll get into next, this is so much more than a remaster. One of the best features introduced into The Last of Us Part 2 was the upgraded workbench system. Now, I'm not exaggerating when I say I could literally spend hours on end just tweaking and upgrading my weapons in this game, just to watch the gorgeous and satisfying animations of Joel adding attachments and upgrades to his guns. In Part 1, the workbench is essentially a combination of the original upgrade system, where each weapon has several sections you need to unlock before fully upgrading that ability, and the system from Part 2 with the stunning animations as you dismantle each weapon and crisp, satisfying sounds to accompany it. So moving on to the gunplay and weapons themselves. As expected, the weapons look, feel and sound absolutely amazing, and they're definitely on the same level as Part 2. The guns feel weighty and extremely powerful when you fire them, and it's just so great to be able to use all of the guns from the original game but with the buttery smooth PS5 gameplay. Another popular talking point surrounding the gameplay leading up to the release of Part 1 was the hand-to-hand combat, with a lot of people upset that it seems very similar to the original with little to no improvements on the animations. So when it comes to this, I somewhat agree with those complaints. The animations are very similar to the original game, however they definitely feel much smoother and more brutal and impactful, which is a great improvement if you ask me. But ultimately on this, I'm not sure how much they could have changed this. Maybe they could have added some of the animations from Part 2, but then again, you know what they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So now moving on to my favourite improvement in The Last of Us Part 1, the gore system. In the lead up to the release, we didn't get any solid gameplay until a couple of days before launch, so naturally I was kind of worried that we wouldn't get the same incredibly realistic and brutal gore system from Part 2. But my mind was finally put to rest when we got the raw gameplay segment, and also some of the players who got early copies in the week leading up to release also confirmed it for us. The gore in this game is yet again mind-blowing, if you'll pardon the pun. Just to round this off guys, I'll address arguably the biggest talking point and controversy regarding the gameplay side of things, and that's the lack of dodge and prone mechanics. I will admit I was kind of disappointed when I found out we wouldn't be getting a dodge button in the remake, and I still find myself spamming L1 when a runner comes at me. But it isn't the end of the world if you ask me. We all managed to play the original game without it, and it's absolutely fine without it here too. I've seen Naughty Dog have just released a video on why they left out these aspects of the gameplay, and their excuse was because it just wouldn't suit Joel, being much larger and older than Ellie when you play as her in part 2. So it makes sense that he wouldn't be able to pull off the same quick manoeuvres, dodges, as he is a lot older. But honestly, I thought this was kind of a weak explanation until I realised that Joel is 53 years old in part 1. That is quite insane, and to be honest, he looks great for his age, especially in the apocalypse. So guys, my overall thoughts on The Last of Us Part 1 are whether you've been a fan of this franchise for 9 or 10 years and played the original when it released, or if this is your first time ever playing it, you're going to have a great time regardless. A lot of people can't look past part 2 playing out differently to what they had in their heads and will religiously attack Naughty Dog and all of their The Last of Us related projects, which is pretty sad. But I would say if you want to play the original with the phenomenal world-class gameplay from part 2, this is the perfect combination. And in the end, that was Naughty Dog's goal all along, so I can say with confidence that The Last of Us Part 1 is a fantastic gaming experience and is definitely worth picking up. So that's my thoughts on part 1, guys. Let me know in the comments if you're enjoying it so far, if you agree or disagree with anything that I've said. Do you think it's worth buying? Do you think it's worth the $70? Like and subscribe for more The Last of Us related content, guys, and hopefully I'll see you again in the next one. See ya.
But I have lost people too.
You have no idea what loss is.